Speaking about figuring things out, over the past week, our Seattle Kraken continued to extend their losing streak. Played 4 games, traveled up to Vancouver to finish out their Canadian road trip on the 21st of the month against the Canucks, losing that game 5-2. Player of the game for Jared McCann with 1 goal, 1 point, 8 shots on goal, and 3 hits. On the 22nd of the month, returned home for a 2-game stretch, the first of which being New York Islanders, losing that game 5-2. Player of the game, centerman Riley Sheehan with a goal, a point, a 1+-, 3 shots on goal, 1 hit, and a takeaway. On the 24th of the month, playing the Boston Bruins on Black History Month night. The Kraken wore these really cool warm-up jerseys that were designed by a local Black artist. I'll get that here in a second after we get the scores out of the way. But losing that game in overtime, 3-2, a really tough one to swallow. That was a really good game. Seattle played a really tough game against a team like Boston that's kind of always in the running to be a good team. And you lose in overtime. So you gain a point as opposed to losing in regulation and not getting any points at all. It's still frustrating to not be able to find a way to finish that one out. So we'll take a look back here. And then the 27th, last night, playing at San Jose, looking to go 3-0 against San Jose, not able to do so, losing that game 3-1. Player of the game for that. Whoa, before I skip that, for Boston Bruins, player of the game, defenseman Mark Giordano with a goal, a point, 3 shots on goal, 2 hits and a block. Player of the game for the 27th, centerman Morgan Geekie with a goal, a point, 2 shots on goal, and a hit. So, yeah, I remember what we were getting ready to start the shooting here. And Bel was like, "Oh, this another week where the Kraken didn't win a game." I'm like, "Yeah, it's tough."
Well, they really need Davey now then for that emotional support.
Yeah, the young dog who's training to be a therapy dog, I guess, needs to work a little extra. It continues to be tough with this team. At the end of the day, and before anything else, it's just an expansion team and they're still working on things. I get that, but it's just like with 2 months, a little over 2 months, well, not technically 2 months to go, you would have hoped that some of these issues would have been fixed already. And that just continues to be how it is. The saying that good teams find a way to win, bad teams find a way to lose. A bad team continues to find ways to lose. So it also is tough when you've got 2 of your leading points contributors and Jaden Schwartz and Jared McCann, who we'll talk about here in a sec. They've been out now. Jared McCann getting injured in that game against the Islanders. You'd hope
with our favorite
it'd be tough to lose that. With the NHL upper body. I know that with Jaden Schwartz injury, we found out it was a hand thing, but it just kind of tells you upper body means upper body. Yeah. It could be anything. So here is a photo of the jerseys. You can see there they were designed by a local artist here in the area, and those were worn for warm-ups. They were not sold retail, the jerseys at least, but the Seattle Kraken team store did have shirts, snapback hats, and beanies. I believe there were hoodies as well. So I don't know the availability of those at the moment, but I know they sold those starting on the 24th. If you go to SeattleHockeyTeamStore.com, they should have those available if they still got them. The Layer Team Store is also open on game days 11 to 6. So if you want to swing by there, and if you haven't been able to chance to get in there on a non-game day, they're open 11 to 6 when there aren't events going on. But with that being said, just talked about our lovely injury designations, upper body. Jared McCann on the 20th. Oh, it was on the 24th. He was placed on IR that day with an upper body injury. Dave Haxtell said, hopefully not for too long. I do have an update on that.
Do you?
Today he was at practice and was on the ice in full gear.
Okay.
In terms of when he'll be back, can't tell you for sure. It wasn't answered.
No clue what upper body portion we're talking about here?
No.
Okay.
So, but do know that he was at practice. So that's something better than I don't see him out there, and just continuing.
Right.
Also, updates, Carson Kuhlman and Jaden Schwartz, Schwartz has been out for a couple months now, were also at practice in full gear. They were not wearing at practices, if you wear a red jersey, it means no contact, so nobody can hit you. They weren't wearing no contact, and they were out on the ice. So it's some positive momentum, but obviously, we talk about don't have a time frame for that. Also on the 24th, centerman Yanni Gourde was a game time decision, but did play earlier in the day. That game, Hextall was vague about Gourde's status, but he seemed fine. So, and we haven't heard anything since then. So, assuming it was just a one-game thing and doesn't affect anything else. And team-related news on the 24th, forward Cole Lind was recalled from AHL Charlotte. That was a corresponding move to Jared McCann being placed on IR. So the team now sits at a 16-win, 34 loss, 5 overtime loss record with 37 points. So 16 times 2, 32, 5 overtime loss, 5 times 1, 37. Still sitting at 8th in the Pacific Division.
Wow. Well, at least they're able to stay at 8, I guess, with the losses.
Yeah, can't go any farther down. Can't fall any further down the ladder there. So looking ahead, what do we got?
Looking ahead, we have a March 2nd game versus the Nashville Predators. That's a puck drop of 7 p.m. The 5th, they will be at the Washington Capitals with a puck drop of 4 p.m. And on the 6th, they will be visiting the Carolina Hurricanes with a puck drop of 4 p.m.
And if you don't follow hockey too much and you're still part of the Seattle group that's still figuring things out, for your information, those last 2 teams that Bel spoke on, even Nashville, all 3 of those games are not going to be easy. Nashville was the team that Seattle beat for their first win in franchise history. They did that on the road. They welcomed them to Climate Pledge Arena, as you said, on the 2nd. That's not going to be an easy contest. And then the Capitals and Hurricanes, both of those teams have been at the top of the league standings. So it's not going to get any easier. But what's very funny about this team and how they've had their difficulties, Seattle has beaten those teams already. All 3 of those teams. Carolina has been in the top 3 all year. Beat Carolina. The Washington Capitals, kind of same thing in the top 10 or so. Beat Washington 5-3. So kind of funny. It just shows you on any given night in any sport, really, that anything can happen. So hoping the win streak is snapped there and we don't come back to you next week on, what is that, the 4th, I believe? No, the 7th. I'm all sorts off. On the 7th, that we don't have another winless week.
Hopefully.
So